I am literally still physically recovering. Like, I am breathless, my jaw is permanently unhinged, and I just cannot handle the sheer, unadulterated delusion of rich people making the absolute worst decisions possible.
Oh, it's staggering. It really is.
Right. I mean, we are talking about finales today, and more specifically, we're talking about life-altering, irrevocably disastrous choices.
Exactly.
Why is it that nobody in Westmont Village seems fundamentally capable of making a single, normal, rational choice?
Because they can't. It is a terrifying systemic failure of the human brain masquerading as high society survival.
Yes.
Like, they're completely insulated by their wealth until the exact moment they aren't, and when that bubble pops, they have absolutely no idea how to exist in reality.
They literally malfunction. Anyway, welcome back and happy Friday, babes.
Happy Friday.
We hope you have an amazing weekend because, babes, it's almost the weekend, and we are so glad you've chosen to spend it with us.
We truly are. We need to process this trauma with you.
We do. But before we jump into our recap of this absolute disaster of a finale, we have a very quick, very important update for the Snark Squad.
Oh, yes, we do.
The frozen Aprils are back on deck.
Finally.
And babes, we miss them.
We miss them so much. They are just blended to absolute perfection right now.
They really are. And let's be honest, frozen drinks just automatically improve our personalities.
Oh, 100%. The second I have a frozen Aperol on a patio, I am no longer like an agitated person reading stressful emails.
No, you're transformed.
I am suddenly a patient, unbothered heiress. It's magic.
It's the phantom ingredient of summer. Like, why does Aperol season feel like the official, undeniable start of summer?
Because it is. And there's this phantom ingredient to drinking on a patio that science simply cannot measure.
Wait, what is it?
It is the illusion of leisure. Like, a patio drink somehow always tastes infinitely better than the exact same drink made at home.
Oh, literally. Even if I use the exact same ingredients in my own blender, it's not the same.
Not even close.
Though, wait, did we unfairly abandon Aperols for peach bellinis during the winter? I feel a little guilty.
Look, we had a Bellini phase, okay? We needed the peach to survive February.
Fair, fair. But we are back on the April train.
Firmly on the train.
And speaking of things we love, we wanted to give a huge shout out to a few of our amazing snarkers.
Yes. Cheers to the real ones.
A massive cheers to Marita, Marley, and Sasha.
We love you guys.
Literally, thank you for always showing up in the comments, sliding into the DMs, supporting the pod, and just bringing the most immaculate good vibes.
Seriously, babes, we love you, we see you, and thank you.
The community means everything. Like, the other night, one of you, I won't name names, but one of you was literally in our DMs debating the structural integrity of slip-resistant marble floors at 1:30 in the morning.
Which is exactly the level of analytical, unhinged dedication we demand.
It's why we are besties. Okay, quick check-in on the weekend agenda before we dissect the chaos of Westmont.
Let's hear it.
And yes, the beach is absolutely happening.
Oh, it has to happen. Even though we all know the expectation is, like, coastal grandmother chic. And the reality is so different.
So different. The reality is a violent, eternal, losing battle against sand sticking to our shins.
I despise the sand. But I am bringing 3 books anyway.
Books you will absolutely just pretend to read.
Oh, I'm not reading a single word. I will be hiding behind them while actually eavesdropping on a couple fighting next to me.
Obviously. That is the true beach activity. And let's be real, is anyone actually touching the freezing ocean water?
Absolutely not. I'm not risking my blowout for the Atlantic Ocean.
Exactly. So besides the beach, what else is on the messy agenda?
Well, sleeping in, obviously. Patio hopping, catching up on all the reality TV we missed this week.
Yes.
Embracing the dating app chaos, attempting to be productive for maybe 14 minutes on Sunday.
And then inevitably failing at being productive in ordering Thai food.
You know me so well. That is the ultimate, ideal summer weekend.
It really is. And to set the tone for your weekend, babes, it's time for your official weekend horoscope forecast.
Oh, the stars are messy this week. Prepare yourselves.
Let's get into it. Aries, you will engage in unexpected flirting with someone wearing genuinely terrible shoes.
Look past the footwear, Aries.
Taurus, do not, I repeat, do not reply to those texts from your questionable exes at 2 a.m.
Put the phone down, Taurus.
Gemini, you are absolutely going to spend money irresponsibly on an aesthetic water bottle you don't need.
It's hydration, it doesn't count.
Cancer, you will accidentally become the center of massive drama by simply liking an old photo from 2019.
The dreaded double tap.
Leo, you will fight for your life, win an argument, and then immediately realize you were actually wrong.
But you'll never admit it.
Never. Virgo, you will lose a very petty argument and immediately start plotting a 5-year revenge plan.
I respect the long game, Virgo.
Libra, making a terrible but highly memorable decision after 2 margaritas is in your near future.
We support you, Libra.
Scorpio, you will aggressively gatekeep a completely mediocre coffee shop. Sagittarius, you will enthusiastically commit to 4 different social events and attend literally none of them.
Classic Sag.
Capricorn, you will judge someone's grocery cart out loud in the checkout line.
Ah.
Aquarius, you are going completely off the grid to build an intricate Lego set.
Honestly, jealous of Aquarius.
Right. And finally, Pisces, you will cry over a dog rescue video on TikTok before 10 a.m.
Accurate. The stars have spoken.
They really have. So, babes, take a sip of your drink, take a deep breath, and let's seamlessly pivot from our fun weekend plans into the absolute, unmitigated disaster that is Westmont Village.
Let's do it. Let's talk about the night of the hunter.
I need to jump straight into the immediate aftermath of the slip because I was screaming.
It was so stressful.
We pick up exactly where we left off, right? Ashe slipping on his own slick marble floors and violently cracking his skull open.
The sound design on that crack was nauseating.
It was. But my initial reaction wasn't even about the plot, honestly. It was about the architecture.
Wait, really?
Yes. Why is this billionaire international weapons trafficker living in a fortress of unlimited funds, but he doesn't invest in a matte finish? Or like an area rug?
Man.
It's irresponsible interior design.
It's a massive hazard, but more importantly, I am just pulling my hair out over the immediate reaction from Coop, Barney, and Nick.
Same. They don't call 911.
Exactly. It was clearly self-defense. Ashe was highly intoxicated, he was unhinged, and he was shooting a literal firearm at them inside his own home.
Yes. The police would take one look at the trajectory of the bullets, the destroyed room, and say, okay, clearly this man lost his mind and slipped.
But instead, what is their immediate reaction? To form a makeshift cleanup crew. Why?
Because we have to look at the psychology of the affluent suburbanite.
Oh, break it down for me.
It is not just panic, right? It's a profound, deeply ingrained arrogance. These are men who have spent their entire adult lives fixing minor inconveniences with money.
Right, or influence, or a quiet little conversation at the country club.
Exactly. They fundamentally believe that the rules of the justice system are meant for other people, not them.
That's so true. Exposure to them is way worse than the actual crime itself.
They honestly believe they can manage a literal corpse the same way they would manage a PR crisis. Or like a bad quarterly earnings report.
I completely agree with the PR aspect, but I do have to push back a little on the arrogance part.
Wait, why?
Because I don't think Coop is acting purely out of entitlement here. I really think Coop is acting out of profound, unhealed trauma.
Oh, from the first season.
Yes. Think about what happened to him previously. He was falsely accused, he was dragged through the mud, he was almost incarcerated for a crime he didn't commit.
That's true. He has major baggage with the police.
His brain has neurologically wired itself to believe that the police are not the solution, they are the enemy.
Wow, okay, I see that.
When he looks at Ashe bleeding out on that marble, he doesn't see a clear-cut self-defense case. He sees himself in an orange jumpsuit.
So he's basically having a PTSD response.
Exactly. He's panicking, and he just drags the other two down with him into the madness.
Okay, that is a really fair psychological reading of Coop, but it completely ignores the terrifying compliance of Barney and Nick.
Oh my God, Barney.
Let's really unpack Barney's role in this exact moment. Barney, a neighborhood dad who probably works in middle management and complains about his property taxes.
His lawn care. Yeah.
Right. He looks at a billionaire bleeding on the floor and simply declares him dead.
Based on absolutely nothing.
He is not a medical professional. He didn't check for a pulse.
I was yelling at the screen, check the pulse.
He didn't hold a mirror under his nose or check for pupillary response. He just looked at the sheer volume of blood and decided, yep, he's a goner.
It is medical malpractice by a civilian.
It's staggering incompetence. And what happens next is the single most atrocious idea ever conceived by 3 supposed adults.
The deep clean.
Yes. They decide to wipe the house clean and delete the CCTV footage. Let's contextualize this for a second.
Please do.
Ashe's house is not a normal home. It's a fortified compound. There are cameras everywhere. There is gunshot residue permeating the drywall.
There are bullet casings embedded in the luxury furniture.
And there is a massive volume of arterial blood on a porous stone floor. And these 3 guys who probably hire an entire crew just to clean their own gutters.
Oh, they definitely don't clean their own gutters.
Exactly. They honestly believe they can execute a forensic-level deep clean of a billionaire's mansion. With what? A bottle of Windex and some paper towels.
It just highlights their complete detachment from physical reality. They treat a major crime scene like a spilled glass of Merlot on a white carpet.
Literally.
They have absolutely no concept of the microscopic reality of DNA or blood spatter analysis. They think if it looks clean to the naked eye, it's clean.
It's the ultimate manifestation of their superficial existence. As long as the surface looks polished, the rot underneath just doesn't matter.
But the universe punishes that superficiality instantly because the timing is so deliciously cool.
Oh my God, the timing.
Right as they are awkwardly lugging Ash's body across the foyer like a rolled-up Persian rug,
Sweating through their nice shirts.
the front door opens, and in walks Sam.
I gasped.
She strolls directly into an active murder cover-up.
It is the ultimate collision of bad timing and poetic justice. Because we have to remember exactly why she was there in the first place.
Right, she wasn't there for a casual visit.
No, she wasn't there to witness a crime. Ash had set up this incredibly lavish romantic dinner, and she was walking into that house to break up with him.
She was there to sever ties.
Yes. Instead, she walks in and finds her ex-lover, Coop, and his buddies standing over the bleeding body of her current boyfriend.
I felt an overwhelming wave of anxiety for Sam in this moment.
Really? Anxiety.
Yes, think about her specific trauma and how the neighborhood already views her. She is already known in Westmont as the tragic widow.
That's true. Her husband's highly publicized suicide cast a massive shadow over her life.
Exactly. Now she walks into this foyer, and in a fraction of a second, she realizes she is standing adjacent to another dead partner.
Oh, wow. Yeah, if this gets out, she is no longer the tragic widow.
She becomes the Black Widow. She becomes the common denominator in a string of wealthy male fatalities.
The societal pressure on women linked to powerful, controversial men is immense. She would be completely ostracized.
Her luxury real estate career would evaporate overnight.
Which perfectly explains why her self-preservation instincts just override any semblance of human empathy immediately.
Immediately. She does not have a moral objection to the dead body on the floor. She has a PR objection.
She just wants to be surgically removed from the narrative.
But what fascinates me is how quickly her moral high ground completely evaporates.
Oh, it vanishes into thin air.
Like, does she scream? Does she demand they call the police? No. She looks at the men, calculates the risk, and casually suggests they bury the billionaire in a client's concrete pool hole.
I physically gasped at that line. I paused the TV.
I had to rewind it.
She is a luxury real estate agent, and she accesses her mental Rolodex of properties and says, I have a listing on Sutherland. They're pouring the concrete foundation for the pool next week. Toss him in the hole.
It is sociopathic pragmatism.
It really is. It is a stunning display of compartmentalization. She views a human being as structural fill for a backyard renovation.
It's the ultimate real estate metaphor for this entire community, honestly.
Burying your darkest sins in the literal foundation of a luxury home.
Yes. She transitions from an innocent bystander to an active accessory to murder in less than 30 seconds, simply to protect her commission.
It just proves that these are not fundamentally good people pushed to the brink.
Not at all.
They are bourgeois suburbanites whose only actual moral compass is the avoidance of public scandal.
Exactly. But the funniest part is, they don't even make it to the concrete pool.
No, because the universe refuses to let them off that easily.
The drive to the property results in the most unhinged jump scare I have seen in years.
We have to break down the sheer visceral panic of the car sequence. Okay, set the scene.
They are driving Ash's massive SUV. Nick is white-knuckling the steering wheel. Coop and Barney are sweating in the passenger seats.
Panicking, obviously.
Totally panicking. And suddenly, Ash just springs awake in the back.
Because, returning to our earlier point, Barney never checked the pulse.
Ash was simply concussed and unconscious.
And he doesn't just wake up groggy and disoriented. He wakes up and goes full tactical combat mode on them.
He's like a Terminator. He is swinging, he is choking them, he is fighting like a trapped animal inside a moving vehicle.
It is absolute claustrophobic chaos.
If we look at the cinematic language here, Ash functions exactly as the manifestation of their own repressed guilt.
Oh, I love that. He's the sin they tried to bury, refusing to stay dead.
Yes. He's like Jason Voorhees in a luxury SUV. He keeps coming back to choke them.
But analytically, I have a massive problem with the logistics of this scene.
Oh, here we go. the problem. They are on a completely empty rural road. Ashe wakes up and starts strangling Coop from the back seat. Why does Nick, who is driving, not simply hit the brakes?
I was screaming that at the screen. Stop the car.
Put it in park, slam on the brakes, jump out of the doors, and run into the woods. You have the numbers advantage. 3 against 1.
But Nick just keeps his foot pressing on the accelerator while a billionaire weapons trafficker is actively trying to murder his friends.
Nick's inability to stop the vehicle is what dooms them, and then the universe intervenes again.
A deer steps into the road.
The deer! The true, chaotic mastermind of Westmont Village.
We stand the deer. Nick swerves to avoid it, and he plunges the massive SUV off the embankment and straight into the dark waters of the lake.
Which is incredibly poetic, considering Ashe had callously killed a deer in the Hamptons earlier in the timeline.
Oh wow, the universe demands balance.
It really does. But the aftermath of the crash is where the show pushes the boundaries of biological reality and psychological endurance.
Tell me about it. The car sinks. Nick, Coop, and Barney manage to unbuckle and swim to the surface, gasping for air.
Barely surviving.
And Ashe, trapped in the back, finally actually drowns. The threat is eliminated.
They could walk away right now. They could say they were kidnapped, there was a crash, and they narrowly escaped.
It would have been the perfect out. But what do?
They realize that if the car is found with Ashe in the back seat, the police will know someone else was driving.
So they decide they need to make it look like Ashe was driving alone, got highly intoxicated, and crashed his own vehicle into the lake.
Which means they have to go back down into the water.
Let me paint this picture for you, babes, because it's absurd.
Paint it.
You have Coop, who has canonically complained about chronic back pain throughout his entire life.
His lumbar is a mess.
Right. And you have Barney, who recently had a vasectomy and was complaining mere hours earlier that he was medically barred from lifting anything heavy.
He's literally stitched up.
These are two soft, middle-aged suburban men, and they are going to tread freezing water, dive 10 meters down into pitch black, zero visibility water, pry open a submerged, pressurized car door, and muscle a dead, waterlogged billionaire from the back seat into the driver's seat.
It defies every law of human physiology.
Barney's surgical stitches would have completely ruptured.
Coop's lumbar spine would have seized up. They are not Navy SEALs. They are men who complain if the air conditioning is too aggressive at the country club.
Exactly. The sheer physical exertion required to move dead weight underwater is staggering.
It is biologically absurd, yes. But if we look past the physical logistics, the psychological threshold they cross in this moment is huge.
It's the most crucial turning point of the entire narrative.
Because up until they hit the water, they were, legally speaking, innocent of murder.
Right. Ashe slipped. Even the car crash was an accident caused by a deer.
But the moment they make the conscious, premeditated decision to swim back down, manipulate a crime scene, and leave a man trapped in a submerged vehicle,
They crossed the Rubicon.
they completely transition from terrified bystanders to active killers.
It is the ultimate sunk cost fallacy. They have already committed so heavily to the lie of the cover-up that their brains rationalize doing the absolute unthinkable.
Swimming into a dark lake to manipulate a corpse.
Yes. Rather than facing the social embarrassment and legal headache of calling 911 and explaining the truth,
They choose murder over inconvenience.
it's wild, and the psychological toll of that decision manifests heavily when we jump forward in the timeline.
2 weeks pass.
The neighborhood is buzzing with gossip. The FBI is sniffing around trying to track Ashe's missing assets.
And everyone is just pretending everything is perfectly normal.
They're literally sitting in the country club sauna, sweating out their toxins, gossiping about the disappearance like it's a juicy blind item on Des Moines.
But the facade is cracking, specifically with Nick.
Mig is absolutely shattering, and I actually feel a profound sense of empathy for him here.
Wait, you do?
I do. He is fundamentally constructed differently than Coop and Barney. He didn't grow up with this thick, insulating layer of bourgeois armor.
That's true. He built his gym empire from the ground up.
Right. He lived a relatively simpler, happier life. And now he is carrying the crushing psychic weight of a dead body rotting at the bottom of a lake.
Yeah, we see him suffering from debilitating insomnia.
He is physically deteriorating. He cannot sleep. He cannot function. He is vibrating with unexpressed guilt.
Okay, I hear you, but I am going to have to forcefully push back on this sympathetic narrative.
Why? Look at him.
Yes, Nick is experiencing a trauma response, but we have to look at the financial convenience of his so-called paralysis.
Wait, what are you implying?
Nick is absolutely using his insomnia and his trauma as an impenetrable shield to consolidate power and keep the laundered money for himself.
What? No. He's terrified of the federal government.
Is he? Let's trace the money. Nick has all of the liquid cash from their illicit laundering operation tied up in the accounts of his gym franchise.
Right.
Coop and Barney approach him and desperately say, "We need our cut. We need to liquidate to protect ourselves." And Nick completely shuts them down.
Because the feds are watching.
He claims the feds are watching every transaction. He claims Ashe's shadow associates are monitoring the accounts.
And moving a single dollar will send them all to federal prison.
But look at his eyes when he says it. Is he protecting them? Or has he realized that with Ashe conveniently dead at the bottom of a lake, he now has millions of dollars of clean cash sitting in accounts with his name on them?
Oh my God.
Nick isn't just spiraling, he is executing a hostile financial takeover under the guise of an emotional breakdown.
That is such a cynical, hyper-analytical read on his character. But wow, it makes an uncomfortable amount of sense when you factor in the class dynamics.
Exactly. Nick knows the raw power of capital in a way Coop and Barney never had to learn.
They inherited their comfort. Nick had to sweat for his. Now he holds the purse strings and he refuses to let go.
And the tension of that power imbalance boils over in the most spectacular, inappropriate setting imaginable: Father's Day.
Because of course it does. If there is one unwritten rule of high society, it is that the most catastrophic, violent, life-altering meltdowns must occur at catered country club events.
Always. If there isn't a carving station, a string quartet, and a linen tablecloth present, a wealthy person is simply incapable of having a psychological break.
They're all gathered at this lavish event. Nick is self-medicating with an aggressive amount of alcohol.
Very aggressive.
Barney, who's usually the mediator, tries to corner him to have a rational conversation about the locked funds and the looming threat of the murder investigation.
And Nick just snaps.
The resentment, the class divide, the guilt, it all crystallizes. He fires Barney on the spot from the gym franchise.
He completely severs his livelihood, just like that.
And then the verbal altercation becomes violently physical.
We get a full-blown chaotic brawl on the manicured lawn of the club.
Coop attempts to intervene and de-escalate, but Nick is entirely unhinged.
He physically lifts Barney and slams him directly through a catered buffet table.
It is messy, it is painfully public, and it is the exact antithesis of the low profile they all agreed to maintain.
While the FBI is actively investigating their social circle, they're drawing a massive neon arrow pointing directly at their own instability.
But amidst all that broken glass and shattered food, the true emotional devastation of the scene belongs to Grace.
Oh, Grace.
Barney's wife, Grace, is standing there witnessing this completely humiliating primal spectacle. And you can see the exact moment her spirit hardens.
She has reached her absolute breaking point.
She knows Barney has been lying to her for months. She doesn't know the specifics of the murder, but she can feel the toxic rot emanating from him.
She corners him in the parking lot, looks him dead in the eye, and tells him he cannot come home.
She locks him out of his own life.
And we must applaud Grace as the ultimate moral boundary of this show. She is arguably the solitary pillar of integrity left in Westmont.
Everyone else is bending their morals to accommodate the lies. But Grace looks at the chaos, looks at the violence, and simply says, "No, I refuse to participate in this performance."
She doesn't need to know the details of the crime to know that the environment is poisoned. She enforces a strict boundary to protect her own sanity.
But the consequence is that Barney is now homeless, unemployed, alienated from his family, and secretly an accessory to manslaughter.
His descent is staggering, which provides the perfect transition to how the other women in Westmont are responding to the collapsing infrastructure around them.
Let's examine Mel Cooper, because Mel is undergoing a complete renaissance of self-preservation that is absolutely fascinating to watch.
Mel is finally, after years of delusion, reading the room.
Following the disaster at the country club, Coop desperately tries to manufacture a sense of normalcy by taking his family to a bowling alley.
He chooses his deceased father's favorite local spot, a place steeped in nostalgia and working-class simplicity.
Because he is trying to retreat to a time before the money and the lies poisoned him.
And while the kids are distracted by the game, Mel delivers this incredibly raw, heartbreaking ultimatum.
She looks at her husband, seeing the physical toll the secrets are taking on him, and she offers him a genuine escape hatch.
She says, "I will surrender all of this. The massive house, the luxury cars, the status, the country club membership.
We can walk away from the lavish life today if you just scale it all back and tell me the actual unvarnished truth."
She is begging him to save their family.
And Coop physically cannot accept the lifeline. He just stares at her.
The tragedy of Coop in this moment is that he is tied into such a Gordian knot of deception that honesty would literally destroy him.
He can't look at his wife over a plate of bowling alley fries and confess to burying a billionaire in a lake.
The truth is no longer a tool for healing. It is a weapon of mass destruction. He is paralyzed by his own sins.
So Mel, recognizing that the man she loves is a hollow shell incapable of redemption, makes a radical pivot.
She visits her literary publisher.
She'd been working on this earnest, helpful book about navigating menopause, right?
But the publisher cruelly rejects it, claiming it lacks marketability and edge.
The publisher looks at Mel, knowing the swirling rumors about Coop and Sam and the missing Ash, and pitches a much darker path.
A true crime tell-all memoir.
Because trauma is the most reliable currency in the modern publishing market.
Exactly. And I live for Mel in this moment.
Yes. She realizes that trying to fix Coop is a terminal endeavor. She realizes that her current boyfriend, Nick, is a volatile mess who just threw a man through a table.
So she drops the emotional dead weight of trying to save the men in her life, and she chooses herself.
She agrees to write the scandalous tell-all to secure her own financial independence. It is absolute, unapologetic queen behavior.
Okay, wait. I have to challenge the queen behavior label here.
Why? She's securing the bag.
Yes, she is securing her financial independence, which is a necessary survival tactic under capitalism. But look at what she's actually doing.
Writing a book?
She is monetizing the destruction of her own family. She's commodifying the betrayals, the potential crimes, and the trauma of her community for a book advance. It is a brilliant financial maneuver, but morally, she is joining the exact same corrupt ecosystem as the rest of them.
She's taking control of her narrative.
She is no longer a victim. She is an opportunist capitalizing on the collateral damage. And it will absolutely sever whatever remains of her co-parenting relationship with Coop.
Not to mention permanently destroying her romance with Nick.
Exactly.
Look, I think when you are trapped in an ecosystem, that toxic survival looks a lot like opportunism. I refuse to judge her for taking the life raft.
We can agree to disagree on Mel.
But if we want to talk about true victims of this ecosystem, we have to look at Elena. My heart completely breaks for her.
Oh, the stark contrast between Mel securing a lucrative book deal and Elena facing sheer physical horror is devastating.
Elena represents the ultimate exploitation of the working class by the wealthy elite.
She was their scout. They utilized her access, her labor, and her knowledge to execute their initial robberies.
But when the operation implodes and her brother disappears, she is left completely exposed.
Holding her brother's massive debt to a legitimate, terrifying loan shark named Felix.
She goes to Coop and Barney, desperate, begging for her rightful cut of the laundered money to pay off the debt and save her own life.
And they give her absolutely nothing.
Nick has frozen the accounts out of paranoia and greed, and Coop has foolishly drained his own liquid assets trying to play the hero.
They just shrug their shoulders while a woman who risked everything for them is staring down the barrel of cartel-adjacent violence.
It is the most vicious form of negligence. You do not invite a working-class individual into a high-stakes criminal conspiracy, extract their value, and then abandon them when the consequences arrive.
And the consequences arrive quickly. Felix tracks Elena down at Nick's house.
And he breaks in, systematically steals luxury goods to offset the debt, and then violently punches Elena in the face.
Just to manufacture an alibi, making it look as though she was simply a victim of a home invasion rather than a complicit debtor.
It is terrifying and brutal. Coop and Barney's failure to protect her is a passive form of violence.
Their white-collar incompetence translates into literal physical trauma for the people beneath them on the socioeconomic ladder.
It makes me sick. Meanwhile, Coop, completely unable to process the destruction he is causing, flees to Ali's chaotic, messy apartment to crash.
And Ali, in her infinite, eccentric wisdom, delivers the thematic thesis of the entire episode.
She quotes David Bowie.
She looks at Coop, a man whose entire identity was built on spreadsheets, hedge funds, and rigid suburban predictability, and she tells him he has to face the strange.
It is a profound distillation of his psychological journey.
For decades, he forced a conventional narrative. Now the pendulum has violently swung into absolute anarchy.
He cannot spreadsheet his way out of a murder. He cannot buy his way back to normalcy. He just has to ride the wave of chaos.
He has to face the strange.
It is beautiful advice, but it implies that the weirdness is only going to escalate. Which brings us to the financial web that traps him and the massive twist of the finale.
The twist.
Coop, in a desperate, naive attempt to cleanse his conscience and sever ties with the underworld, wires $600 million back to Ashe's estate.
He genuinely believes that if he purges the dirty money from his accounts, he purges the sin from his soul.
It is a childish understanding of how global finance operates. You don't own that kind of capital. The capital owns you.
Coop thinks he is returning a cursed artifact to a museum, but he fails to realize the museum is a cartel.
Outside the bowling alley, Ashe's sophisticated, terrifying lawyer, DeMille, intercepts Coop.
He hands over the blackmail thumb drive, the digital proof of Coop's initial robbery, but then he drops an absolute financial anvil on Coop's head.
DeMille coldly informs him, "I'm wiring the $600 million back to your accounts."
Coop tries to refuse, but DeMille makes it clear. The money wasn't solely Ashe's.
Coop is now the custodian of $500 million of deeply illicit, highly dangerous cartel and private equity funds.
He is trapped. He cannot walk away because the people who actually own that money require a clean suburban face to manage it.
It brilliantly illustrates the inescapable gravity of institutional corruption. Ashe was a loud, chaotic, drug-fueled villain.
He was dangerous, but he was sloppy. DeMille represents the sanitized corporate evil that actually runs the world.
You cannot negotiate with a spreadsheet. And then DeMille delivers the twist regarding Coop's kidnapping from earlier in the season.
Coop had operated under the assumption that Ashe ordered the kidnapping to intimidate him regarding the Excelsior Fund.
But DeMille heavily implies that Ashe was entirely uninvolved.
He insinuates that it was Cricket Birch.
Cricket, the ruthlessly efficient, ice-cold investor who Coop had been sleeping with.
She is the one pulling the invisible strings behind the capital.
Which is infinitely more terrifying than Ashe. Cricket operates in the sterile, air-conditioned shadows of high finance.
She has unlimited resources, zero emotional volatility, and a complete disregard for human collateral.
If she ordered a kidnapping, just to send a subtle message about a portfolio, what is she capable of when she realizes her capital is tied up with a man currently being investigated by the FBI for a missing billionaire?
She is going to dismantle his life piece by piece.
But even the revelation of Cricket as the puppet master isn't the most heart-stopping moment of the finale.
Not even close.
The final shot of the episode is what truly broke me.
Walk us through it.
The camera pans away from the suburban dread and settles on the serene, quiet surface of the lake. The exact lake where they dumped the SUV.
Right.
A lone fisherman is out on a small boat, casting his line into the water. He feels a snag. A heavy, immovable metallic snag.
And the camera slowly sinks beneath the surface, cutting through the murky water.
And reveals that his hook has got the bumper of Ashe's sunken vehicle.
Boom. Cut to black.
I was screaming at my television. The vehicle is found. The body is going to be retrieved.
Everything they sacrificed their souls to hide is going to be dragged right back up to the surface.
It is the structurally perfect cliffhanger. It takes the frantic, messy decisions they made in the first 20 minutes of the episode and forces them into the unforgiving, microscopic light of a Season 3 forensic investigation.
The past is never truly buried. It just marinates until it floats.
Oh my God, that's dark. I need to take a deep breath. My heart rate is genuinely elevated right now.
Same. It's a lot to process.
Let's pivot into our deeper character analysis, because we need to dissect who these people truly are at their core. It's time for our segments.
Let's do it.
First debate. Neighbor we trust the least.
This is an incredibly difficult metric to judge because the entire cul-de-sac is a toxic wasteland of deceit, betrayal, and sociopathy.
Truly. But forced to choose, who is the one character you would absolutely, under no circumstances, allow to live adjacent to your property line?
Who is your pick?
My pick might seem controversial given the overt criminality of the others, but I stand by it. My pick is Sam.
Sam. You are choosing the real estate agent over the men who actively hid a body and laundered millions.
Absolutely. And let me explain the psychological reasoning. Coop, Barney, and Nick are criminals, yes.
Yeah.
But they are reactive, disorganized, panicky criminals.
They are driven by fear and stupidity.
Exactly. If Coop moves in next door, I know exactly what I'm getting. A chaotic mess who will eventually get caught.
Fair point.
Sam is infinitely more terrifying because her malice is cloaked in aggressive normalcy. She masquerades as the relatable, empathetic professional.
But when the ultimate moral test arrived,
When she walked into a foyer with a bleeding corpse, she didn't blink. She didn't have a crisis of conscience. She immediately accessed her professional portfolio and offered up a client's concrete foundation as a burial site.
that is a chillingly valid point. Her pragmatic response to extreme violence is deeply unsettling.
She possesses a sociopathic level of pragmatism. Her moral compass isn't broken. It simply has an on-off switch that she controls based on her PR needs.
Wow.
If I live next door to Sam and I accidentally leave my garbage cans out past the HOA deadline, what is her response going to be? Is she going to leave a polite note, or is she going to slowly poison my hydrangeas and manipulate the zoning board into seizing my property?
She would definitely poison the hydrangea.
I don't trust the quiet, calculating ones.
Yeah.
Who's your pick?
My pick is the foundational root of all evil in Westmont. It is Coop.
Coop over Ashe.
Unquestionably. Ashe was a known entity. Ashe was a predator, and everyone understood he was a predator. Coop is an invasive species.
Ooh, invasive species.
He arrives disguised as a charming, handsome, well-meaning family man, but he is fundamentally a black hole of consequence.
Look at the sheer volume of collateral damage he generates just by existing.
Exactly. He decimated Mel's life and her trust with his compulsive infidelity and lies. He derailed his own children's futures. Tori literally dropped out of higher education because the psychological burden of her family's public disgrace was too heavy.
He corrupted Nick, dragging a legitimate business owner into a homicide cover-up.
He destroyed Barney's marriage. He abandoned Elena to physical violence.
When you lay out the casualty list like that, it sounds like the path of a hurricane.
He is a vortex of destruction. If Coop moves in next door, your property value plummets due to the constant FBI surveillance. Your spouse will inevitably be charmed into an affair with him, and you will eventually wake up to find you are legally implicated in art theft because you let him store a box in your garage.
Oh my God, you're right. He makes you complicit in his ruin.
He is the ultimate bad neighbor.
You have entirely convinced me he is a walking contagion. Okay, let's look at the broader societal themes with our next debate. The Rich People Problems Award.
My favorite award.
This entire narrative is constructed on the foundation of wealthy individuals experiencing problems that are so absurdly detached from the working class reality, they almost read as satire.
What are our top nominees for the most out-of-touch dilemmas from this finale?
Well, nominee number 1. Possessing a financial portfolio and an enemies list so incredibly vast and convoluted that when you are violently abducted off the street and thrown into a van, you genuinely cannot pinpoint which billionaire associate ordered the hit.
The ultimate flex of the ultra-rich. Was the international weapons trafficker I double-crossed or the private equity firm that manages my hedge fund? Completely unrelatable.
Nominee number 2, experiencing an existential crisis because you are desperately attempting to give away $600 million in cold liquid cash to cleanse your spiritual aura, and having a high-powered, bespoke-suited lawyer legally force you to keep it.
Please, sir, relieve me of my $500 million. No, it is your burden to bear. You must suffer with the extreme wealth. It is the funniest, darkest problem imaginable.
And nominee number 3, Gordy. Gordy existing.
Gordy.
Specifically, Gordy cornering Coop at a lavish, fully catered Father's Day event, while Coop is actively grieving his deceased father and internally vibrating with the secret of a submerged corpse, simply to whine at length about the logistical difficulties of maintaining his country club affair with Diane.
Gordy is the absolute zenith of narcissistic suburban entitlement. But let's debate these. Which of these absurd problems would you secretly, deeply enjoy having?
I mean, we don't even have to pretend. It is the $600 million.
Obviously.
If a terrifying lawyer forced me to maintain custody of $600 million of dirty money, I would weep tears of sorrow all the way to my newly purchased private island in the Mediterranean.
Same.
I would endure the psychological burden of cartel ties if it meant I never, ever had to look at the price tag of organic produce again. I would simply hire a better, scarier lawyer to structure a shell corporation and launder the funds properly.
Precisely. You just outsource the anxiety to an accounting firm in the Caymans. But which of these problems would genuinely send you into a psychological spiral?
The kidnapping ambiguity.
Yeah.
If I'm being targeted for violence, I require extreme clarity on the identity of my enemy.
You need to know who's mad at you.
I need to know exactly whose wrath I have incurred so I can negotiate or hide. The paralyzing ambiguity of having multiple billionaires angry enough to authorize a kidnapping would shatter my nervous system. I would never leave my house again.
For me, the answer is Gordy whining by the buffet.
Really? Not the kidnapping.
No, if I am internalizing the soul-crushing weight of a manslaughter cover-up and some man in a pastel, moisture-wicking polo shirt corners me next to an ice sculpture to complain that his mistress is demanding too much of his weekend schedule,
You would snap.
I would snap. I would physically push him into the deep end of the country club pool. I would have absolutely zero emotional bandwidth for his mundane, self-inflicted, rich guy drama.
The juxtaposition of Coop's life-or-death stakes against Gordy's petty grievances is what makes the writing so sharp. Okay, moving to our third debate, finale MVP.
When the dust settles, the cars sink, and the money transfers. Who actually won this episode?
Who walked away with the strategic victory?
I think the trajectory of the season makes my pick incredibly clear. It is Mel Cooper.
The author of her own destiny.
She demonstrated the most profound psychological growth of anyone in the cast. She spent 2 grueling seasons suspended in a state of waiting.
Waiting for Coop to magically develop integrity.
Waiting for Nick to offer stability. Waiting for the men in her orbit to stop systematically disappointing her. In this finale, she experiences a moment of profound clarity.
She realizes that the men are irreparably broken.
So, she drops the dead weight. She pivots her failing career, leverages the infamy of her own community, and decides to write a scandalous true crime memoir to extract maximum financial compensation from their terrible behavior.
She weaponized capitalism to save herself. She is the undisputed MVP.
She is a strategic mastermind, even if it burns her bridges. But who is your pick?
My pick requires looking outside the human element. My finale MVP is the deer.
The woodland creature? Are you serious?
I am dead serious. Think about the mechanics of the scene. If that specific majestic deer had not chosen to stand in the exact center of that specific rural road at that precise millisecond,
Nick would not have swerved.
the vehicle would have remained on the asphalt. Ashe, who was fully conscious, enraged, and executing lethal chokeholds in the back seat, would almost certainly have overpowered and murdered all 3 of them right there in the cabin of the SUV.
That is an incredibly astute observation. The humans had lost control of the situation.
The deer saved the entire primary cast. The deer effectively neutralized the villain. The deer single-handedly ensured the narrative continuation of the show.
You're not wrong.
The deer deserves top billing and a SAG award for its contribution to the plot.
The deer was a contracted agent of karma. I fully respect the pick. We also need to offer a brief honorable mention to Delilah, Ashe's teenage daughter.
Oh, Delilah, the only person with functioning instincts in the entire zip code.
She intuitively recognized that her father was a toxic, dangerous, erratic force. When he vanished, she performed the obligatory pantomime of grief for the authorities, but behind closed doors, she packed her bags and successfully extracted herself from the Westmont ecosystem to live with her aunt.
She broke the generational curse and escaped the vortex. Good for her.
She survived by recognizing the rot early.
All right, we have reached the final stage of our recap. It is time to put on our tinfoil hats, go into full conspiracy board mode, and look at the future.
Season 3 is officially greenlit and currently in production. Based on the wreckage of this finale, what are our boldest predictions for what happens next?
We have to start with the most immediate, tangible threat. The submerged vehicle.
Right.
The fisherman has snagged the bumper. The authorities are going to drag that SUV out of the mud. Coop, Barney, and Nick meticulously positioned Ashe's corpse in the driver's seat to simulate a fatal drunk driving accident.
But here is my forensic prediction.
Okay, lay it on me.
The county coroner is going to place Ashe on the autopsy table, take one look at the trauma, and immediately classify it as a homicide.
Walk me through the medical logic of that.
It comes down to the physics of the injury. Ashe did not sustain his fatal or near-fatal injury from the vehicle impacting the water or the steering wheel.
Right, he hit his head on the floor.
He sustained it by slipping and violently striking his head against a flat, unyielding marble floor. The impact pattern, the specific fracturing of the cranial bone and the bruising, will clearly indicate a collision with a flat architectural surface.
Not a curved steering column or a shattered windshield.
Exactly. The coroner will document that his skull was compromised before he ever inhaled water. The narrative of the solitary drunk driver will collapse in the morgue, and a massive homicide dragnet will descend on Westmont.
That is brilliant and terrifying. They thought they were being so clever by moving him, but they completely failed to account for the shape of the skull fracture.
They are so out of their depth. What's your prediction?
My prediction centers on the social fallout. I predict that Mel's true crime memoir is going to be published, and it's going to serve as a nuclear bomb dropped directly on the country club.
It will be the total annihilation of their social fabric.
Exactly. Because Mel's knowledge isn't limited to Coop and Sam. She has been a silent observer for years. She knows the intimate details of Nick's shady gym financing.
She knows about Gordy's illicit affairs.
She knows the petty theft, the zoning board bribes, all of it. If she commits that truth to paper, she isn't just exposing a murder, she is burning the entire socioeconomic hierarchy of the village to the ground.
She will become the ultimate pariah, completely exiled from society.
But she will be reading her hate mail from a yacht purchased with her advance.
I love the idea of Mel as the destructive truth teller. My next prediction involves our newly revealed puppet master, Cricket Birch.
Okay.
I believe Cricket is going to assume the role of the primary antagonist, and she's going to be infinitely more dangerous than Ashe.
A corporate villain instead of a chaotic one.
Precisely. Ashe used guns and physical intimidation. Cricket uses algorithms, asset freezing, and institutional leverage.
That's way scarier.
DeMille confirmed she orchestrated the kidnapping. When she realizes that her $500 million investment is currently being managed by a man actively under investigation for a missing person, she is going to systematically dismantle Coop's reality.
She will freeze his bank accounts, sever his credit lines, and send corporate mercenaries to monitor his family.
She's going to make him beg for the simplicity of a jail cell.
That transition from physical threat to financial terrorism is going to elevate the stakes beautifully.
What about Barney? We left him sitting on the curb in the parking lot, stripped of his marriage, his home, and his job. What is his trajectory?
My prediction for Barney is intensely dark. Throughout the show, Barney has functioned as the anxious, sweating moral compass trying to keep Coop in check.
Right.
But now Grace has severed his ties to normalcy. He has nothing left to protect and therefore nothing left to lose.
So what does he do?
I predict Barney is going to fully embrace the criminality. He's going to stop fighting the current. We might see him forge an alliance with Felix, the loan shark.
Oh, I would love that.
The anxious sidekick is going to evolve into a hardened, desperate criminal because society has left him with no other viable path.
A villain origin story for the khaki-wearing dad. I would watch every second of that.
Finally, we have to discuss the casting announcement. Michelle Monaghan is officially joining the ensemble for Season 3. Who is she going to play, and how will she disrupt the board?
The possibilities are endless, but my analytical theory is that she represents the encroaching law enforcement presence.
An FBI agent.
I think she will play a high-level federal agent dispatched to Westmont after the coroner flags Ashe's autopsy. And because Coop is fundamentally incapable of making good choices, he will inevitably become romantically or psychologically entangled with her.
Playing a terrifying game of cat and mouse with the woman trying to put him in prison.
Exactly.
That is a classic noir trope, but I want to offer a Messier, more soap opera alternative. What if she is not law enforcement? What if Michelle Monaghan is playing Owen Ashe's secret, estranged, fiercely intelligent wife?
Oh, the widow returning to claim her throne.
Yes. She arrives in Westmont under the guise of claiming the estate. She quickly deduces that Sam was the local mistress. She uncovers the fact that Coop is hoarding the $600 million, and she decides to systematically, ruthlessly destroy every single resident of the cul-de-sac to reclaim her cartel fortune.
Wow.
A wealthy, vengeful, impeccably dressed widow taking down the neighborhood. That is the exact brand of chaos I need.
The sheer dramatic potential of a vengeful widow is staggering. The wait for Season 3 is going to be agonizing.
It really is. But unfortunately, we have exhausted our timeline and our vocal cords for today.
It has been a monumental discussion. It leaves you wondering, though, if the polished, manicured people of Westmont Village are this incredibly quick to bury a human body simply to protect their property values and their country club's standing.
What does that say about the illusion of the safe, modern suburb?
Exactly. We spend so much time fearing the strangers on the outside, installing alarm systems and building gates. But maybe the real danger isn't the outsider.
Maybe the most terrifying threat is the perfectly dressed neighbor who smiles at you across the fence, holding a secret they would kill to keep.
A chilling and necessary thought to leave on. Snark Squad, thank you so much for hanging out with us, for analyzing the wreckage, and for spending your weekend spiraling with us over drinks.
We seriously love this community, but before you log off and head to the beach, we need you to weigh in on today's conversation. Jump to the comments or slide into our DMs.
We need your definitive answers.
What is your rapid-fire weekend horoscope prediction? Who would you trust the least to live next door to you? Are you strictly Team Frozen April or Team Peach Bellini? And who is your true MVP of this absolute disaster of a finale?
Let us know your theories. And please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
And share the podcast with your messiest bestie. Specifically, share it with the person who would begrudgingly help you move a heavy object in the middle of the night, but would complain about their lumbar support the entire time.
Exactly. Have the most amazing, unpredictable, patio drink-filled weekend. We appreciate you spending it with us.
So until next time, stay messy, stay nosy, and we will see you on the Snark side.